Hello class, this is a quick review of how to find the x and y intercepts of any function. Now first, let's look at the word intercept in terms of football. What does it mean to intercept a pass in football? Well, an interception can happen when the path of the defender crosses the path of the thrown football. Often that results in an interception. But what does intercept, finding the intercepts in algebra mean, and what are the x and y intercepts? Well, we'll look at a graph to talk about that question. The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis. And sometime in this class, you're going to have graphs that have more than one x-intercept. But one important thing to know about the x-intercept is that at that point, whether you have 1, 2, 3, or more x-intercepts, the y-coordinate will always be 0. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis, and at that point, the x-coordinate is 0. Now, why is it important? It's important because we can use those facts to find x and y intercepts without a graph using only algebra. Let me show you why that works. Since at the x-intercept, the y-coordinate is always 0, we can plug in 0 for y and solve for x in any equation. And since the y-intercept, at that point, the x-coordinate is always 0, we can plug in 0 for x and solve for y and find the y-intercept. And this works for any function that you will see in this class. So let's look at a couple of examples. Now we have this equation. We want to find the x-intercept, so we will plug in 0 for y and then divide both sides by, well, we don't have to divide both sides by anything. X is equal to 12. And so the x-intercept is 12, 0. The y-intercept, to find that, we will plug in 0 for x and then divide both sides by -2, and y is equal to -6. So that means the y-intercept is located at 0, -6. In other words, x equals 0, y equals -6 is the x-intercept. Now let's look at an example that's nonlinear. Now this is a quadratic, and you may remember from Algebra 1 that if you graph this, it would give you a U-shaped graph or a parabola. And that U-shaped graph may have more than one x-intercept. So let's see what happens here. Well, to find the x-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for y. Then we're going to add 4 to both sides because we're solving for x. And since we have x squared, we're going to take the square root. That undoes a square on both sides of the equation, and that gives us the answer x is equal to plus or minus 2. Wow, we have two x-intercepts in this case, 2, 0 and -2, 0. To find the y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x, and that gives us a really easy solution. Y is equal to -4, so we have a y-intercept at 0, -4. Now those are two examples that are pretty typical. Now it's your turn. What is the x-intercept of this equation? Pause the video, do your work on a piece of scratch paper, and then we'll check the answer. If you got 8, 0, you got the right answer. And you got this. You know how to find the x-intercept of anything now in algebra. But what about the y-intercept? Let's find the y-intercept of this. Pause the video, do your work on some scratch paper, and if you got 0, 4, then you got this. Now that is the very simple process of how to find the x and y intercepts of most functions, all functions really, in algebra. This is the end of this video.